getting real fidgety. We need some distractions. Who am I? I'm a human too. I'm just like you with ASD. Who am I? I'm a human too. I'm just like you with ASD.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Autism Stories, where we connect you with amazing people that help teens and adults with autism become more independent and successful. I'm your host, Doug Bletcher, the founder of Autism Personal Coach. This month, I did a guest blog for Milestone's Autism Resources Ask the Expert series. I wrote about how teens and adults on the autism spectrum, along with their support system, can create a clear path to their goals. It's a short read, but in my biased opinion, well worth your time. So if you're interested in reading that, you can find a link to this blog article by checking out the description for this podcast episode. And in this episode of Autism Stories, we are going to speak with Mary Ellen Greacen, the Vice President of Operations at the Autism Society of Pittsburgh, where she discusses the importance of employment, mentoring, and social opportunities, and how the Autism Society of Pittsburgh are working to provide these opportunities for teens and adults. Mary Ellen lives in Wexford, Pennsylvania with her husband Scott and two adult sons who are both on the autism spectrum. Mary Ellen's educational background includes a Master's of Science degree in education, a Bachelor's of Science in psychology and criminal justice, and an Associate of Science degree in respiratory therapy. Mary Ellen has served on the board of directors for a board now known as the Pennsylvania Autism Connection, which led to a position as program director. Mary Ellen also served on the Pennsylvania Autism Task Force and was an instructor at the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Education in the Early Intervention Autism Specialization Program. In addition, she created a nonprofit branch on behalf of Family Behavioral Resources named the FBR Foundation. As the Director of Special Projects, she created an 8-person board of directors as well as pursued funding through the state and local grants that serve families and professionals affected by autism for the FBR Foundation. With 20 years of nonprofit experience, Mary Ellen is honored to be supporting people with autism and their families. We hope you enjoy this episode. Mary Ellen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, kind of starting out with your journey, where did that start with the autism community?
Well, it started, I'd say it has to be at least 22 years ago. I have two sons, both are young adults right now. Both are on the spectrum, opposite ends of the spectrum, actually. I have one who's currently 21, soon to be 22 next month, who is what you would consider your typical individual on the spectrum. He does have a lot of needs, and he is very, very smart. I have to say that. And my younger one is 19, and I like to call him my early intervention poster child because we had services set up for him almost at 18 months, but pretty much at 18 months, and he was diagnosed at 2 years of age. And right now, he's in the middle of his sophomore year at Penn State main campus. So
that's awesome.
That's where we started, and from there, They were diagnosed relatively, I would say, like I said, my younger son was diagnosed right at age 2. My older one, it took a little bit of time. He was diagnosed at age 3. It had taken us back then at least 7 months to get a diagnosis. It was at the time where really most individuals of that age were really peaking to, we saw a big wave of autism diagnosis coming, and really there wasn't much available at that time. I had started to begin my autism journey once, actually even before they were diagnosed. I was really close with a lot of people who were helping my son out, but once I got them diagnosed and started learning more about autism, I became involved with a lot of groups in Pittsburgh. Was on the board of directors of what was a board at the time. Now it's Autism Connection, and was involved there for a long time. I've also worked in other nonprofit agencies, and it's been a good 25 years or so since really finding out what autism was. And from there, I moved on to the Autism Society after a brief, I did take a brief 5 or 6 years to step out of my work in nonprofit and went into the health field, and I felt more comfortable, and my passion was in working in autism.
Mm. And so currently you are the Director of Operations for the Autism Society of Greater Pittsburgh, and it seems like there is an important emphasis on supports for adults to be successful from the Autism Society.
There is. There is. The Autism Society actually has been around for quite some time. In 1965, Dan Tversky and his wife, along with 70 other parents at the time, started the National Society of Autistic Children, and in 1996 it was renamed the Autism Society of America. Also in 1996, Dan and his wife started our Pittsburgh chapter from the national organization. From then, they've been advocating for individuals and their families since the 60s, and the most significant pieces of legislation regarding autism have had some involvement from our chapter. As far as working with adults, I think it's a passion of all of ours at the Autism Society, because we have a lot of the same parents who, when they were diagnosed at age 3, 4, even 5 in the early 90s, there was no services. And we're finding that out, now they're 21, 22, and it's that we're right in that same position. So we do have a large interest in developing programs for adults.
And the Autism Society in Pittsburgh, you have a partnership with Computer Aid as part of the Autism to Work program. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that, how that came about?
Sure. We were approached by Computer Aid as part of their Autism to Work program about a year ago to be their local contact here in Pittsburgh. And as they were starting to develop their employment in our venue, this quickly developed into a partnership where not only were we assisting locating suitable candidates for prospective employment, which actually is not hard at all, but we are also involved in training prospective employers and coworkers on autism and the traits of autism, how to communicate and make some suggestions as far as how to make some simple adaptations in the workplace to make it a little bit autism friendly. Mm-hmm. And it's been very successful.
And one interesting part of the Autism to Work program at Computer Aid is there's teams that work together that have those with autism and those without. Like, what have been some of the positives of this type of program?
Well, as we all know, individuals on the spectrum learn very effectively when they're with other individuals who are not. on the spectrum. So that's been naturally beneficial to them. As for coworkers, there's appears to be an acceptance from everyone that we've talked to and that we've worked with and that we've trained. They realize, they're not very different from any other employer that they might be working with. In fact, during one of our trainings for the employees, we received feedback and suggestions for other workplace adaptations. That there were so many instances that we said, this might be helpful, that it wasn't just for an individual with autism, but would be helpful to anybody across the board.
Yeah, I totally get that, because just even like with sensory processing issues, when you can make an environment more sensory friendly, that benefits everyone, no matter whether you have autism or not.
Right, exactly, and that's what a lot of people, once we've gone in there and we're able to do some training with employers, it took a lot of that fear away. Like what should we expect from this person, and realize, it's not that different, and they enjoy working, as a group.
Yeah. So the Autism Society also has a program called Higher Contact that is for Pittsburgh area businesses to work with students with autism. What has been your message to businesses why they should be involved in this program?
Well, the program has been extremely successful in what was our first business, which was the Pittsburgh Indoor Sports Arena, also known as PISA, whose employees have been tremendously helpful in offering training opportunities to all areas of work, both skilled and unskilled. The feedback that we get from the PISA employees is that those on the spectrum who are working are extremely dedicated and learning a particular task. They stay on task until the work's completed. And we see that with a lot of individuals on the spectrum. The message should be is that there's a growing number of adult age persons on the spectrum who are looking for employment and who can perform a wide range of jobs, particularly those with attention to detail. They would be really dedicated and job-oriented to the rules of a particular business, and they should definitely not be overlooked.
Yeah, and I think smart companies, if they're looking at workplace statistics, are seeing that there is opportunity for growth when you employ people with autism.
Absolutely, and computer aid and along with us are also positioned to assist local businesses in staffing and job training perspectives for individuals on the spectrum. We're currently seeking new opportunities every day to help these individuals out and set them up in such positions.
So did this program come about because the Autism Society felt a need, or did businesses initially contact the Autism Society looking for support?
It was kind of both. I know right now with CISA, when we work with them, they were looking for someone who was looking for a detailed job, say for instance working on the turf in their indoor sports arena. That actually is a very skilled job and can be taken from a volunteer position of helping out at PISA to one of our sports arenas. And that's not something that you can just learn anywhere. So they were looking for something, and we all know how hard it is for an individual on the spectrum to find someone to work with. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a mutual coordination.
Mm. And this past spring, the Autism Society had a pilot, a STEM mentoring program with mentors from Westinghouse Electric Company. The mentoring included fields of mechanical, civil, electrical, and electronic engineering, to name a few. What were some of the lessons learned from this program?
Well, the lessons learned is are moving on. We continue to talk with Westinghouse, and we are expanding to different school districts right now, is that we want to not only include one school district, but we want to open it up to many, and also include individuals who are not on the spectrum, so that we can have a mix of people learning more STEM, because STEM is key right now to being very successful in these types of jobs. And we want to make sure that that's an opportunity for everyone.
And I think that's a really important program, because everybody needs a mentor or a coach.
Absolutely. And, starting out, having that advantage of, having a mentor and being able to ask questions without the fear of being judged, or the fear of, looking like you don't know what you're talking about. Mentors are fabulous.
Mm-hmm. Now, I always say we all need community, and the number one place that as adults we get community is through employment. But however, many adults with autism are unemployed, so therefore other avenues kind of need to be explored to find community. So one of those opportunities through the Autism Society of Pittsburgh is your monthly open mic night. So can you please tell me and everyone listening a little bit more about that?
I have to tell you, it's a fabulous event. And we have been we started moving it into different communities. In fact, tomorrow, which is December 15th, we'll about be out in the Wilkinsburg area. But anyways, the program itself is in coordination with Band Together Pittsburgh, which is another nonprofit that we work very closely with to get music to those on the autism spectrum. But the open mic in particular, Band Together provides all the equipment, the mics, the drums, the guitars, anything that's needed. And working with the Autism Society, we offer, of course, free refreshments and free food. But the main opportunity for individuals on the spectrum is to feel comfortable. We don't force anyone to do anything, but we never have. We've had spectacular interest in individuals getting up on stage, no matter what their talent has been, and either singing a song, playing an instrument, sometimes both. Sometimes individuals just want to get up and recite the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, but it gives them the spotlight for a minute, where they are comfortable in the group, made some connections within the group, and they're able to get up there and feel like, it's their moment, and it is so spectacular. You should come by. Anyone who's interested should come by and take a listen. It is great. It's a wonderful opportunity.
So it gives people the chance to kind of focus on what their particular interest is.
Exactly, and to promote self-confidence, to promote interest in independence, and obviously an interest in music.
Yeah, absolutely. For those that want to learn about the open mic night or anything else that the Autism Society of Pittsburgh is doing, how do they go about doing that?
Well, we are on all social media. Our website is www.autismsocietypgh.org, and we are also found on Facebook under that same name, the Autism Society of Pittsburgh, and Ought to Know, which is AUT number 2, and then the word know, KNOW, on Twitter. So we are out there. We do list our programs everywhere, and we have some new ones coming up, too, which are very, very exciting.
Yes, I am going to need to come to the open mic night at some point.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Well, Mary Ellen, thank you very much for joining us today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, thank you for having us. We appreciate talking with you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening today. I love that the Autism Society of Pittsburgh is thinking and implementing mentoring for those on the spectrum. I always say no matter who you are, you need a mentor or a coach. And we are never successful by ourselves and need those to guide us along the way. Whatever level of success I've been judged to have, I would have never achieved that without the help of so many others along the way. And so often teens and adults with autism struggle with anxiety and as a result don't have success in their lives. Autism Personal Coach is a unique service in that we help those with autism by working on meaningful, individualized goals in the setting in which they'll be used so their anxiety is greatly reduced, and as a result they can become much more independent and successful. To get an autism coach for a loved one or yourself, it's very easy. All you have to do is email autismpersonalcoach@yahoo.com or call 216-336-5889 and request a coach today. On next week's episode of Autism Stories, we will have the pleasure of talking with Kelly Mailer, an occupational therapist who will discuss a vital sensory system you may know the least about, interoception. Talk to you then.